Welcome to Ellis B. Feaster's Radio Air Check and Classic TV channel.
The President of the United States coming up on the Bernie and Sid Show.
All right, Sydney, back on the Bernie and Sid Show on our highly anticipated and, I might add, wildly successful debut week. We continue with our roster of A-list guests, and we saved the best for last, the best by far.
Yeah, it doesn't get bigger than this.
New York. We welcome the world's most famous New Yorker in history. This man is single-handedly restoring the country to greatness. The kid from Queens, President Donald J. Trump. President Trump, welcome to the brand new Bernie and Sid in the Morning Show on WABC. Thank you, sir.
Well, congratulations. I'll tell you what, I haven't done one of these phoners in a while. I used to do them. Hey, Bernie, I used to do them all the time. You know
That's right. I fully recollect.
This is an honor. Great show. Bernard has been a friend of mine for so long, and Sid, you too, but I've known Bernard for... We don't want to say how long, right, Bernard?
No, it's been a while. It's all been good, though. It's a great relationship.
It's been good. And you've been so great and so nice, and I appreciate it. And so when you asked me to do the show, I said, I'm going to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to do that show in between North Korea and Iran
and I got to tell you,
all of the other
that's
things
the kind of
on.
guy you are, sir. That's why we love you. I swear to God.
You're multitasking. You know, and I'll be honest, Mr. President. Now, this is Sid not talking, of course. You and Bernie are very, very close. Bernie has been a major supporter of yours for day one. Right. I have wavered, to be honest with you. But I'm going to say this. And I think this is what's going to bode well for you in 2020. I'm one of those guys who didn't buy in right away, I'll be honest. I love you, don't get me wrong. But I thought some of the things that you talked about you couldn't do. And the truth is that a year into your presidency, you've completely converted me. You could ask Bernie, I've done a complete turn here.
Total.
And and the things that you promised in your campaign, Mr. President, to your credit, you have done. And we both think you're doing a terrific job.
That's great. That makes me feel good. You know, if you look at from judges to regulations to the biggest tax cut in history, and we got no Democrat help or support on the tax cut, and now it's become really popular. And now we have to take over. We have to do something with respect to China. You know, the $500 billion a year deficit, the other presidents decided they couldn't handle it or didn't want to handle it. We have no choice. And we're going to do a great job of it. It's going to be fair. And it's going to be great for this country, but we had no choice. We have to do it.
We have to fight for it.
But so many things. Somebody actually said the other day, Trump actually fulfilled more promises than he made. I said, that's an interesting way of looking.
That's true. Without a doubt.
We've done good, and the economy is really strong.
Right. The economy, foreign policy, what you're doing at the border. Listen, President Trump, despite the unprecedented barrage of hate, the orchestrated venom, the lies from the dishonest rats in the media. Not only are your poll numbers going up, but we actually have a pro-Trump TV show. They're popping up. Things are turning around.
Right. Your friend Roseanne. That's exactly right. But, you know, a poll just came out, Rasmussen. It's now 51.
Yes.
And they say that it's 51, but add another 7 or 8 points to it. That's almost embarrassing for me to tell you because they don't want to talk about it, but when they get into the booth, they want to vote for Trump.
Just like the election.
People know what's going on.
Well,
very important. The border is very important now. That's a big, big subject. And, you know, we're stopping them. We called out the military. We're calling out the military. And it's a very, very powerful subject for this country and important.
The last thing I would ask you, though, is you mentioned China, President Trump, and the market's had a couple of rough days. But obviously, since you've taken over, it's been incredibly great. Record numbers. No one's ever done what you've done with the stock market, even through some of these rougher days. But there is this fear, of course, about a trade war and all that. But we contend, me and Bernie, on your behalf here, that if it does get to that, hey, it's about time. I mean, how many decades do we have to go where they've got a huge surplus and we've got a horrible deficit? So if it comes to that, so be it, right?
Well, fellas, we've already lost the trade war. We don't have a trade war. We've lost the trade war because for many years, whether it's Clinton or the Bushes or Obama, all of our presidents before have, for some reason, it just got worse and worse. And now it's $500 billion in deficits and a theft of $300 billion in intellectual property. So you can't have this. Now, the easiest thing for me to do would be just to close my eyes and forget it. If I did that, I'm not doing my job. So I'm not saying there won't be a little pain, but the market's gone up 40%, 42%, so we might lose a little bit of it. But we're going to have a much stronger country when we're finished, and that's what I'm all about. We have to do things that other people wouldn't do. So we may take a hit, and you know what? Ultimately, we're going to be much stronger for it. But it's something we had to do. And ultimately, if you take a look, it's not only trade with China, it's everybody. So we're renegotiating NAFTA. The European Union really blocks us out. They have barriers. We can't sell our products, I mean, to a large extent, into the European Union, and yet they have their cars pouring into us, you know, the Mercedes and the BMW, they're pouring in. With China, it's interesting. So if they sell a car, it's 2.5% tax.
Right.
If we sell a car to them, it's 25% tax. Now, somehow that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
So, you know, so we have to straighten it out, and we will straighten it out. I have a lot of respect for President Xi. We have a very good relationship, and I hope we work it out.
Hey, New Yorkers, Mr. Trump, President Trump, I should say, who voted for you, they love you more now than they did on Election Day, if that's possible. Putting America first, you've come through. And at these rallies, you're like the calm at the center of the storm. You show up at these rallies, and you're beautiful, wonderful, fantastic, funny, relaxed. And last year at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you held a rally instead of going there. So my question to you is, will you do the same thing this year at the night of the White House Correspondents' Dinner?
Well, you know, I did the Gridiron Dinner a few weeks ago, and that was really terrific. We had a lot of fun, and it was good. But I sort of feel that the press is so bad. It's so fake.
Yeah.
It's so made up. I mean, sources say, and they have no sources. They're like novelists. I call them novelists. They make up the sources. Now, in some cases, there are sources, but then they won't do it correctly either. But in many cases, they literally make up sources. You know, 9 sources within the White House have said there are no 9 sources. So I just think that I want to get it straightened out with the press before I do it. So it's probably pretty unlikely I won't do it. I didn't do it last year. I had a rally instead, which was great.
It was great. It was much funnier.
Right, and the dinner was a massive failure.
Yes,
Good.
definitely.
So I'm going to turn you.
It's one of those things. So I probably won't do it.
Okay, last one from me, President Trump, from Sid. I'm going to turn you from President Trump, who, again, we both think you're doing a fantastic job.
Thanks.
Back to Donald Trump, the New Yorker. You ready?
Go ahead.
It's opening day in New York. The weather's lousy. It's still going. But you've got tickets, box seats, to both the Mets and the Yankees. Where does Donald Trump end up, in the Bronx or in Queens?
Well, you're going to get me in a lot of trouble, but I think both teams, because, you know, I know even the players, okay, in a lot of cases, because, you know, I'm a baseball fan, and I like both teams. Randy is so great. Will Ponds are really good people, and so don't put me in that position, fellas, okay? I will say this.
We withdraw the question.
Both of them are exciting. You know, they have some pretty good – and the Yankees, what they did with Stanton, that's going to be – I think that's going to be a great – you know, that's one that almost – you know, famous last words. That's a player that almost can't fail, but I guess, you know, people have said that about players before.
Right, true.
Only to have a bust. But I think he's going to be great. And you really do. You're going to have 2 exciting teams that I want them both to do well. I hate to be political. See, in the old days, I wouldn't have answered the question that way. In the old days, I would have told you. But, look, I really like the Will Ponds a lot, and Randy Levine and the Steinbrenners, these are phenomenal people. And so I'll take a pass, but I really enjoy both teams a lot.
President Trump, we're going to let you go back to running the country, but thank you so much for appearing on the congratulating us on the new show, the Bernie and Sid Morning.
Congratulations, really. And I really like that what he said, Bernard. He wasn't so much of a fan, and now he's a fan. That makes me feel good, right?
I have to tell you, it took me a while, but I turned him around.
That's good. It must have taken you well. Hey, listen, congratulations. That's big stuff, fellas. A show like that is big. And do well, and God bless you both.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you.
You as well. God bless yourself. The President on the Bernie and Sid Show. Oh, man, I love that, man. We're coming right back on the Bernie and Sid Show right after this.
Bernie and Sid in the morning.
That's right. Call me Stormy McGurk.
That was great.
That was fantastic. He was wonderful.
Charming.
Yeah. Listen, folks, there you have it. President Trump on the first week of the Bernie and Sid in the Morning Show on WABC Radio.
Michael Savage is so mad right now.
Michael, take that. And take our producer, too. We don't care. No, we do. How about that, Sydney?
It is Friday. We are in love. Pure great.
We're dancing around here.
No, listen, the facts are the facts. Like, maybe you don't like Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. A lot of you don't. A lot of you do. He's the most famous, most recognizable person in the world. He won. He has been in office now for over a year. He has turned down the likes of Michael Savage for radio interviews. This is the only...
Turned down everybody.
Yes, this is the only radio interview he's done in a year. And if you listen, and I'm already getting texts from everybody, you saw the respect addressing Bernie and myself right away. Been friends with Bernie a long time. You too, Sid. Wished us very well at the end of the conversation. So if you can put aside your bias for 2 seconds, or what you think of him politically, you can't argue what a monster get that was.
Absolutely.
I mean, Boomer and Gio were talking to Joe McEwing.
I just got a text from Boomer congratulating me.
Yes.
Great job.
Probably did. We're going to replay it if you're getting in your car right now and going, jeez, I missed it. We're going to replay it again in about 40 minutes at 8:25. But let's get some folks calling in on this thing. Bernard, let's go to line 6. Chris is in New Jersey this morning. Chris, you're on with Bernie and Sid.
Bernie, Sid, great interview. By the way, I'm not afraid of this. My name's Chris LaRocca from New Jersey. That was an incredibly good interview. You guys are kicking butt. And if you see what this president's done, aside from how the economy's roaring and people have a better attitude and are pumped up to be Americans and we're getting respect, look what he's done within the country. Look how in the last few days government city legislatures in California are being dressed down by people with conservative thought. The Mexican-American gentleman who dressed down in Southern California, how his mother and him came to America and were not given sanctuary and had to go through the proper steps, and how the gentleman, I'm not sure where he's from, the African-American gentleman, about gun control, speaking up eloquently and saying, we're the law-abiding citizens. This is the Donald Trump effect. We now feel able, because we have a president who has our backs when it comes to our views. And the fact that you're bringing them on the air is incredible.
And highlighting those successes, Chris, and thank you very much for the call. Yes, the economy, foreign policy, as I pointed out, we celebrated his great accomplishments, and he did make some news. He talked about how, we're going to have a trade war with China. You brought that up.
Well, he was honest. He said there may be some...
We're going to take a hit in the stocks.
There may be some short-term pain.
And that's news.
Right.
That he said that. And also the fact that he's not going to go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner because the source is novelists and that type of thing. I mean, so there was some substance there in addition to, us, me anyway.
Yeah.
Just telling him how fantastic. And by the way, if I didn't feel that way, I wouldn't tell him.
Right.
I wouldn't tell him at all.
No, that was honest. I mean, you still made a mess of your face, but it was honest.
They call me Stormy McGurk. That's
right.
Okay. I don't care. 1-800-848-9222. Let's go to Robert from New Jersey, Sydney. Robert, you're on. Bernie and Sid Show. Good morning.
Hi, guys. Hi. Look, I've been listening to the show. You guys are doing a good job, but I would like to give you a compliment the way Imus would. You two knuckleheads are doing pretty good. So that the interview was really done well. I like the way he's honest about everything, and that's what makes Donald Trump great, he's honest. He told you the truth. He said, look, we may take some dips, we may take some hits, but guess what? In the long run, we're going to be doing well because we've been screwed over so many times by so many different presidents that have, ulterior motives, and this one is not like that, and that's why he got voted in. No matter, the distractions of the media, no matter everything they want to show you and lie to you about, look, the reason why he got voted in is because no one believed the bull crap. So, that's where I stand.
No, listen, and I was honest with him, too, from the very beginning. I told him, I said, I wasn't a fan of yours, Mr. President. I was not. But to your credit, I thought a lot of the stuff that he campaigned on was a little childish, and some of his policy stuff I thought he could never deliver. And I said, to your credit, Mr. President, you have delivered. Since you've taken over as president, you have done what you said you were going to do. That deserves credit.
Let's face it.
And he liked that, by the way. He brought it up again at the end of the conversation, unprovoked.
Let's just face it. You're going to have to send your shirt to the cleaners, too. It ain't just me, bro.
No, that's true. But yours is more like bukkake. Mine is just one shot.
How about Grace from Long Beach, New York? Good morning, Grace.
Good morning, Bernie. Congratulations to you for your years of friendship with the president, whom I love. And great that Sid finally, understood what was good about this country. Donald Trump. What a wonderful interview. It was just great.
Thank you, Grace.
Long Beach is all the better for you, Bernie. We love you out
You're very kind, Grace. I love you, and I love Long Beach. Anthony from Staten Island. By the way, Anthony, Sid asked also that Mets-Yankees question.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump sounded almost like like a child. He's like embarrassed. He didn't know what to say.
He got all excited.
Sid actually stumped him.
He actually was excited about Giancarlo Stanton. Talked about Stanton with the Yankees and look, I've seen Trump before he was president, sitting with Regis Philbin many times in Steinbrenner's box in the Bronx. I've never seen him at City or Shea Stadium. But it's clear
I've seen him at
Wilpon.
At Shea with Bill O'Reilly.
Okay, so he was honest, and he's right. Both teams are exciting. But with the Mets, who play the Nationals again today, they're 5-1. So
how about that?
He should be excited.
How about the bullpen, baby?
Yeah, how about them? And how about Cespedes and Jay Bruce with a grand slam yesterday? Go ahead, Anthony. What's going on, pal?
Yeah, good morning, guys. I want to say great show. Congratulations. That was the best, let me tell you.
You liked it, Anthony, right? That's what we want to hear.
I loved it.
That's what
Sid, you remember me. I called you. We talked about patches that time in Shipshead Bay
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I think Donald Trump.
What was that?
I think Donald Trump was there years ago too. By the way, just so you know.
You could have been. You never know, because his father owned buildings in Brooklyn over there. What do you call it, on Avenue Z, Shore Haven. He owned the buildings all over there.
Yeah. Thank you, Anthony, for the call. Let's go to Michael Savage's birthplace and mine, the Bronx, and Ed. Ed, you're on the Bernie and Sid in the morning show. Good morning to you, Ed.
How you doing, Bernie? Listen, it was a great, respectful interview with Trump, and it was the way you're supposed to do it, not playing gotcha. But the other thing I wanted to say, you had Savage on, which blew me away. But then when you said you were going to have Chuck Todd, I thought you were going to imitate him. And that impressed me even more because Todd was, really interesting. And
well, listen, just so you know, Ed, I've been very, 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 very funny with Chuck Todd for many, many years. And I don't want this show to turn into Fox News right-wing conservative talk. We both like Trump. Bernie loves him. But I do believe that we'd be stupid to eliminate and leave out this city, especially, which is a bunch of Democrats, to leave out a voice like that. He's the host of Meet the Press. We've been dear friends for 8-9 years, me and Chuck Todd. He's a very interesting guy, and we'd be stupid not to bring him on. We want to give everybody a piece of what they believe in on the new Bernie and Sid in the morning show.
100%. I agree with you 100%. I'm a guy that likes Nader, and I like Trump. The thing about Todd was, I think you guys, and Trump even mentioned this with his poll numbers going up, I think about 3-4 months from now, when the press does no mas with Trump, a guy like Todd is going to be, the press right now, everybody's making money off of Trump, including Stormy Daniels. At a certain point, if Trump does well, and I think he will, the media will have to,
they have to come around.
Respectful as they were with Reagan.
They will. Listen, and the mutts in the media, like CNN, for example, they're dying in the ratings. The ones that are irrational and hateful. So, yes, maybe they are coming around. And as I pointed out, we have a pro-Trump TV show. Who ever thought you'd hear about that on network TV? Anyway, thank you, Ed from the Bronx, on the Bernie and Sid in the Morning show, following our huge get with the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, which we will repeat again at 8:25. In about 33 minutes. We're coming right back.
Bernie and Sid in the morning.